Welcome, everyone. My name is Scott Peters, and I am a sales manager here at Rexel. So hopefully you're here for our webinar today around OT and machine level network availability and risk identification. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our presenter today, Mark Maiozzi. And Mark, the floor is all yours.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate everybody jumping on this morning. As mentioned, my name is Mark Maiozzi. And also with me this morning is Tom Bach, and Tom is one of our network field service engineers. And we work on the Rexel automation team, supporting our customers in their OT network reliability and risk reduction projects, along with numerous digital transformation and smart manufacturing type projects. So thanks for joining us again. Our focus is on the OT network, concentrated from that DMZ down, or that point of separation from IT to OT. And just quick clarification, IT is informational technology, carpeted space, office environment. OT focuses on operational technology, the machine level networks, the machines on the production floor. And our team of factory trained network field engineers complete the boots on the ground and virtual data collection portions required to begin the reliability or smart manufacturing project. And one thing I do want to highlight is that our services are manufacturer agnostic. We are Ethernet IP focused. We're not specific to Rockwell Automation, but we are specific to Ethernet IP. Our work is based on standards, industry standards or common industrial protocol. Standards from NIST, IEEE, ODVA, the Department of Homeland Security, and as well as referencing industry best practices from the Cisco and Rockwell collaboration, also known as CPwe, or Converged Plant-Wide Ethernet. These are best practices for the machine level networks based on CVDs, or Cisco validated designs. Truly, the backbone to any digital transformation, predictive maintenance, or analytics project is that machine level network and documentation from that network. And we can help there as well with physical, logical, and virtual designs and documentation. And this is an example from our machine level network design package, which includes over 50 pages of detail and documentation based on your facility, your infrastructure, and the future of your communications network. And as we talk this morning, I am assuming that there is already Ethernet assets and Ethernet connectivity on the manufacturing floor. And we provide our customers with a phased approach by starting with assessments. So the roadmap and planning to analytics or predictive maintenance or just improvements in the reliability of the communications network is based on data. And again, that data is specific to your operations, your production line, and your facility. One way that we start with customers is by identifying activity that can cause risk to the availability of your machine level communications network. Again, our focus is from the DMZ down, or where that DMZ would be, and we connect to your network and collect PCAPs. These data packet captures provide a snapshot in time around the traffic from your OT network. Example on the screen right now is a summary report, which summarizes risk. But behind all of this, the deliverable that you get is almost overwhelming to the amount of data provided. Deep dives for every line collected, every line of data collected, I should say. And the insights around highly active assets, ghost assets, gremlins in the system, vulnerabilities is all provided. And we then work with you to prioritize next steps and then take deep dives required to complete any remediation planning. We do provide insight in a raw data form, as I mentioned, and in report summary forms. And we also provide you with the remediation. And we provide guidance to reduce the risk and those documented vulnerabilities. And as you can see here, we embed the vulnerability remediation right inside of the document for you, and then talk about additional critical findings within the security and availability review. And for some customers, this deliverable provides the first glimpse into what that network actually looks like, what the traffic is doing, talking with, and how data is actually flowing. This map can be a very beneficial graphical representation to implementing VLANs or segmentation within the control system network. As I mentioned, thousands of lines are analyzed and reviewed with remediation provided from this service. And that's where we can find some interesting vulnerabilities and access points inside of OT traffic that could be causing some issues. iPhone traffic really should not be on the OT network, and we'll highlight the vulnerabilities with the customer or individuals on the vulnerabilities that we find to deep dive on exactly where that is coming from. Tom, anything you would like to add here in regards to how you saw this come across the data collection?
Sure. The screenshot that you're seeing as part of Mark's presentation was from an engagement I had with a customer just a couple of months ago. First to note is they have a completely flat network, meaning there are like 4 or 5 major work areas within the facility, and they are not segmented, so everybody sees everybody else's traffic. And as Mark mentioned before, when I am on site and actually collecting the data packets, the stuff is happening pretty fast, but I can still monitor the traffic as it is being captured to my workstation. So, I started the packet capture, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it, making sure we're getting good data and so forth. And as the screen was scrolling past me, I happened to just look down, and I thought I saw iPhone. And remember, this is on a plant network, an OT network that should only be carrying traffic for controllers and HMIs and drives, VFDs, what have you. And it just caught my eye because an iPhone, and more importantly, a HomeKit, which if you're familiar with Apple devices, is essentially Apple's automation component, kind of like Alexa, where you can turn lights on and off and this type of thing. But after I finally was done and was reviewing the PCAPs, sure enough, and this is only one of multiple instances showing that there's somehow or another iPhone traffic. It didn't bleed over. I mean, it is on that OT control network. So that typically is not a good thing. You should not be seeing, essentially non-automation traffic on the network. So this capture was kind of a first. I mean, I've seen some bizarre devices reviewing the PCAPs in the past, but this iPhone one kind of takes the cake. So yeah, I was a little stunned. And obviously it was marked as a critical vulnerability. So, and obviously the customer had no idea. So.
Right. Do you remember how many lines we went through on that specific project?
Well, in the raw report, there were over 2,000 entries in the what's called the device-specific CVEs. CVE is common vulnerability. I can't remember. Too many acronyms nowadays. But yeah, there was like almost 2,100 criticalities that were recorded in the raw report. So obviously this customer has a little bit of work to do.
Right, so we're in the deep dive phase with the customer now regarding that, but overwhelming amount of data to help them really, as Tom mentioned, put the priorities in place to get to their end goals on this project. Thanks. Scott, I guess I'll just ask any questions that you've seen or.
I don't see anything coming through the our chat function or raised hands at this time. We did have one question from somebody that submitted one earlier prior to the webinar today, and they asked, does IT need to be engaged with OT-focused projects, and if so, how important is it for them to be engaged?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. As we'll talk about here coming up in reviewing policies and procedures within each facility as part of the assessment process, we do need to have engagement with multiple stakeholders within the organization around policies and procedures, whether those are IT policies, whether they're engineering policies, facilities policies, maintenance, quality, production. So really, this is a collaborative effort to implement a documented, robust, expandable, secure machine level network. So yeah, engagement with multiple parties is always beneficial. And when OT or operations, automation engineers have these discussions with IT, it's really a welcome discussion because IT is based on standards and documentation. And when we're able to show those standards and how those would be implemented to the OT side, it just makes that relationship that much more easier to manage because everybody's got documentation and standards that they're following. So yeah, great question. There needs to be collaboration.
Yeah, and if I can just add real quick, this is Tom. This is one of the biggest hurdles and it's not an engineering issue or a implementation issue, but really it's a cultural issue. There are many instances that I have seen where, essentially, the automation guys and the IT guys really are not good partners. Very few organizations have a stellar collaboration with their IT department. Most OT folks, the only time they actually deal with IT is if they need another block of IP addresses or they need to set up a firewall or some sort of remote access device. But there are a majority of cases where getting IT and OT in the same room to have a discussion, a couple of occasions that simply will not happen. They just won't be with each other in the same room. So, and it, obviously it has to be addressed because to Mark's point, this isn't just a single individual effort. It's not a one and done type of situation. So IT's assistance, cooperation, collaboration with OT is critical to ensure that all those policies, procedures, and more importantly, the security measures that are already implemented on the IT layer also have retain that same importance for the OT layer. So, great question.
Yeah. I get almost a seamless transition into that is some standards examples. And as Tom was mentioning, we do sit down and discuss policies and procedures in place within the facility focused on the OT network. And if there are issues or suggestions on implementation of policies that don't exist currently, we will provide those back to you in the deliverable pointing to those standards, right? 800.82 and 53 are industry standards, cable labeling standards, references from best practices in converged plant-wide Ethernet design guides are all provided back to you so that the deliverable truly says you need to implement these standards to achieve your end goals on this network, and it's based on these industry standards. So you get all of that documentation as well. As noted, each line of data collected provides insight and detail, and we also compile all of that into a data summary report, right, to help in the next step of planning and where focuses really should start and how you can start planning for those remediations. Some projects do require a deeper physical identification related to that physical network. True boots on the ground asset identification. What's connected to Ethernet? So we're all throughout the facility, all right, looking at panels, connection points, converter cards, drives, HMIs, PLCs, everything that has a data point to start to build out what the physical network currently looks like today, reviewing cable labeling standards and physical installation practices. And we provide lifecycle information specific to those assets back to you as well. This one was food and bev customer. As you noted, like some end of life information is embedded in the deliverable. And when I clicked on that HP one, end of life was 2010 on those 25, 24 series. I was like, oh, okay, end of life, 2010. Then I had to realize it was 2020 when we were looking at that. So the assets were end of life over 10 years ago. For the IT space, that's unheard of. For the OT space, that's typical operating procedure. So we're able to provide you with the documentation based to get the funding for those migrations that are required based on lifecycle alone, and be able to improve all the vulnerabilities that come with maintaining end of life and discontinued type product. This is a very important step. If that asset sheets aren't available, if there's not good logging of everything connected on the network, we put this together for you in report form that makes it very easy to manage, update, and have good documentation on your physical health. Touching on security a little bit, and industrial DMZ and firewalls really are an essential part to protecting a machine level network. The combination of these firewalls and an IDMZ zone type concept are key aspects of a defense in depth type approach. And this combo also plays well and allowing for remote access to the network. We're not going to dive into remote access right now. We will further review and cover remote access in one of our next upcoming Tech Tuesday discussions. Now, as we move from the assessment phase into the design and implementation phase, we've now provided the data and documentation to move forward with deployments of that secure remote access, predictive maintenance, or machine level analytics, along with asset health and monitoring. We found that FactoryTalk Network Manager is one of our first recommendations after an assessment to increase visibility and diagnostics across the machine level network. OT professionals were just lacking the visibility needed or the comfort required to actually configure the managed switches on their floor. Our network engineers do work on site with you to properly deploy this offering from Rockwell Automation. And the solution goes hand in hand and works as the OT face for some of the Cisco network assistant monitoring packages that may already be in place on the IT side of the house. So very cost-effective way to truly gain insight into your network once we've completed the assessments is to start into deployment. Tom, you've also deployed this for some of our customers. Was wondering if you could add anything on deployment of Network Manager.
Absolutely. So IT already has access to dozens, if not more, of network monitoring tools, but again, their focus is on the IT space. What FactoryTalk Network Manager provides is visibility specific to the automation or OT network, in that it understands something called CIP protocol. So when you're using Rockwell Automation hardware, control logics, compact logics, we all know that virtually everything from Rockwell now either comes with or can add an Ethernet port, but the nature of the traffic is very different from what IT expects to see. So in addition to being able to speak and understand the SIP protocol, Network Manager also uses Profinet, so it's not limited to just Rockwell devices. And for hardware such as switches and routers, it also uses something called SNMP in order to collect the data. First and foremost, to Mark's point, it gives you visibility into your OT network. When you deploy Network Manager, the first thing it does is it goes out and scans the network and provides you a topology view and a device-centric view, so you know which controller, which I/O distributed I/O adapter, which PC workstations are active on the network. Identify the assets per protocol, and gives you some configuration templates to easily deploy, for example, static switches. And you can actually download FactoryTalk Network Manager for free. The free version gives you the topology view, the discovery of the asset inventory, the plug-and-play tools, management tools, audit trails, and so forth. When you purchase Network Manager, and it's licensed based on total number of switches that you want to include within its scope, then it also brings to the table items like switch health, how much bandwidth utilization at the switch level, recent activity, connected devices, switch configurations, VLAN, speed duplex, so on and so forth, switch alarms and events, switch configuration for doing backup and compare. One of the items that the licensed version of Network Manager can also discover any DLR or device level ring topologies that are present on the automation network. So there's a whole host of additional features that are available if you use, if you purchase the software. But again, you can kind of take it for a test drive just by downloading FactoryTalk Network Manager, doing the install. Don't active, or it will be unactivated, but it'll give you, essentially that bird's eye view of the bulk of the available features within the product. So there you have it.
Hey, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Can you share a link for that free download for a test drive?
Absolutely.
Okay. Put that in the chat session if you would.
I will. I'll get to it right away. Sure.
And a little best practices on that one. What we found is customers downloading Network Manager were not really, it was cart before the horse, I guess. We've been more successful with customers after analyzing the data prior to and assisting with the deployment. So as mentioned, right, free stuff's out there. Definitely can give you some insight, but really understanding what you're looking at, where the vulnerabilities are, and how you can remediate comes from, starting the process with an assessment and then engaging in deployment of Network Manager to really start moving that remediation forward. Another way we can help with a robust machine level network is providing real-time data around the health of the industrial automation control system assets. This is available for both Ethernet and non-Ethernet assets. And the nice thing is that as migrations occur or machines come in and out of your facility, you're able to update those assets inside of your My Equipment dashboard. And this is in real time, and it provides you real-time data on the health of your facility. Now, at this point in time, Rockwell My Equipment offer is specific to Rockwell automation assets only, but we're only in launch like V.2. So as things continue to expand, and there will be enhancements continuing to go into this platform. But FactoryTalk Team 1 is also a free download. which can access your technical support agreement, create chats and teams and knowledge base articles. And then if we're able to load the My Equipment for you, you can then have that asset information right on your phone, on the computer as well. So again, great way to monitor the health of your facility with this offering from Rockwell Automation. If a goal is to truly deploy a documented, secure, and robust plant floor Ethernet network, Rexel takes that next step with you, and we provide a 25-year warranty for the uptime of the physical layer machine level network. So this follows the CPwe protocol, along with installation from Rexel certified installation partners, the approved hardware that is provided from the assessments to deploy that network. But once certification is complete, there is a 25-year warranty around that the uptime of that network. So we're supporting the designs, the installation, along with the support of that network. Wireless deep packet inspection, continuous threat detection software services are all available and reviewed after the initial assessments of and determining what deeper dives are required based on your specific project, based on the assessment results. And we're here to support you through that, through a wide offering of manufacturing partners, right? Continuous threat detection from Clarity and others, wireless from Cisco and ProSoft and others, is what we're here to support, right? Our team is truly focused on machine level network, and we have numerous specialists ready to go in regards to being able to support you on the entire circle of deployment. We're coming near the end here, but as mentioned earlier, a lot of projects around smart manufacturing are starting with the request for analytics and data. But in order to truly deliver reliable and real-time data, we do need to do some work to the network, and we will dive into the benefits of analytics and our offerings in an upcoming Tech Tuesday session. So be on the lookout for a deeper dive on the analytics that we provide, from Rexel, from Rockwell, from numerous Encompass partners, to help customers really see the benefits from smart manufacturing, IIoT, predictive maintenance, whatever buzzword you're looking to implement there. We've got a solution for you. Because there are so many benefits from a documented machine level network in this IIoT and factory of the future world, work from home world that we're all living in right now. Robust networks are the foundation to keep manufacturing strong here in the States. And we've truly got the tools to help you kick those projects off. So that was the presentation portion for today. I appreciate everybody jumping on. I hope that was good information. And I can open it up for questions or additional comments now.
Hey, Mark, I do have a question for you. So we've talked a lot about Ethernet. Okay. So what if a customer doesn't have really have Ethernet on the shop floor, but they know it's coming? Is there anything you can advise, suggest, help them with?
Yeah, absolutely. There have been instances to where an assessment of Ethernet on the shop floor, was maybe one controller sitting on a machine that came in a long time ago. So there's really not much to assess. So if that's the case, right, after a review, we can identify assets, begin planning, and move directly into a design phase, right, to then be able to provide documentation on deployment of the network and put the backbone in place, get the drops in, all based on documentation, and then start adding the Ethernet devices as they come in. So it doesn't always have to start with an assessment if there's nothing to assess. But if we need to jump right into design, we will start to look at installed assets with you and put a design together. So the process doesn't have to start if there's nothing there with assessments. It can always start with a design.
Yeah, I'd also like to add that this is where having a discussion with Mark, myself, or even your account representative, there are a variety of ways of tackling things like, again, you've got a PLC5 and it only has Data Highway Plus and Remote I/O. There are intermediate steps instead of doing a full rip and replace of the control system, of adding Ethernet connectivity using either Rockwell gateways or some third-party gateways available from ProSoft and so forth. So it can be a very phased and gentle implementation. You don't have to look at, oh my God, I'm going to have to, upgrade 15, 16 controllers in the plant, and typically most operations teams just simply don't have that type of budget. So the best thing to do is contact one of us, and we'll start with a discussion.
All right. Hey, thanks, Tom. And just for those that are wondering, for that download of Network Manager, if you go in the chat session, there is a link there and some instructions on what to look for. So, Tom, thanks for posting that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.